Hello there, I hope everybody's doing well. I have been back from the trail for just over 3 weeks now, and it feels like I've been really lazy. I've actually been really busy, so I apologize I haven't had a video in a couple of weeks. I promise I'm going to get back in the groove and do some post-trail videos, and I would love to hear topics that you would love to see addressed. I certainly am going to talk about my gear, my mindset, challenges along the way, things like that. But if you've got specific questions, please just go ahead and pop them in the comments down below, and I will do my best to get those answered in future videos. Today, what I'm going to talk about is my water system, and not just hydration. I actually have a video on hydration hacks that shows you the water hose that I used, and I carried two Life water bottles, not smart water bottles. These actually, the plastic is slightly thicker on these, and they lasted for months. So if you want to see how I use these in my pack with a hose so that I could drink on the go, then look at that hydration hacks video. But for now, I want to show you how I carried my water and how I filtered my water. You may have seen in some of my videos that I used the Cnoc Vecto. This just came out, I think, about a little over a year ago. And it's a great product. You could practically drive a truck over this thing and it wouldn't explode on you, but I wouldn't recommend that. Anyway, one of the things I loved about it was how soft and flexible it is. I could just roll it up like this and stick it in my pack. It was very convenient, and it holds 2 liters of water. So on a day where there was not a lot of water to be had, and there were a few of those, especially during the heat wave in the summer in Virginia, I think I had to go 14 miles at one point with no water sources, and I was drinking about a liter an hour, so that was a tough day. But anyway, with my two liter bottles and 2 liters in this, I could stick it down in a pocket in my pack, and I could actually carry 4 liters if I needed to, although most of the time in reality, if it was in the middle of a heat wave, I would be carrying maybe a liter to a liter and a half at a time, just to keep the weight down, because water, as we all know, is heavy. So anyway, I loved this Vecto, and a couple things that I really like about it is, one, that you can open it up at this end to fill if you need to, and you could also attach your filter or your water bottle to it. And my filter, I use the Sawyer Squeeze, not the mini, the regular size one, and this one I have in a plastic bag because the last time I used it, it was freezing out and I had to sleep with it. So sometimes it can drip a little bit, but you know, if you stick it in a plastic bag, you're not going to have water in your sleeping bag if you had to cozy up to your filter at night. Now on my filter, I got this little gadget. Some people use, I think it's called a Tornado, that you can get online. This actually, I believe, is made by Sawyer, and it's only a couple bucks, and I felt like it was better. The Volcano piece is bigger, and I think it needs to be retrofitted. This fits right on the filter, and then that attaches right to the bottle, so that if you put your water bag on one end, like this, then you can either roll it up and squeeze the water through to filter it, or one of my favorite tricks was just to hang this. When I got into camp, I'd get my water, I'd hang this up, I'd go do some other chores, and it would filter by gravity, which was awesome. Now, another great thing about this bag is the top slides off. So in areas where you have to dig shallow water, you know, some people carry a scoop or something like that, I never needed a scoop. I could always just open it up, you hold it by the red side here, and just kind of squeeze it together, and you can scoop water or just let a slow trickle fill in if you need to, and unfortunately sometimes the water sources are like that. So then you could just fold this over, slide this back on till it kind of snaps, and you're good to go. And in addition to using the carabiner that I could clip on here to hang it, it was also great for carrying. It just made it a little bit easier. Sometimes I could either just like loop a finger through it if I was at a water source where I needed to use my trekking poles, and there are a few of those where it's pretty steep climb, or if I wanted to hang it off my pack, just a lot of options there. So I really like the fact that I could just stick a carabiner on it and go. Now, one of the problems with this, and I know that Cnoc had a few comments from customers and feedback, that when this thing is full of water, the neck here, this little piece, was kind of soft, and I will demonstrate that in just a minute, but they fixed it, and I have a new one, and I'm going to compare and actually show you the difference. So here is my brand new one that Cnoc sent me and asked me if I would do a review. So they did give this to me for free. I'm going to disclose that. And it's in the same packaging as the old one, so just to look at it, you wouldn't know the difference. But if you open it up, take it out of the box, and take a good look at the collar here, it is much, much firmer than the collar on the old Vecto. So I'm going to go fill these with water, and I'm going to come back and show you the difference in terms of how you actually close this up so that it doesn't leak on you. Okay, so here is my old Vecto. It is full of water, and I'm setting it here on the table because one of the tricks that I learned to getting the lid on this without losing water was to actually set it down on something to take some of the weight off. If you didn't, then as you, whoops, it's spilling, and that happens, because if you didn't, as you were holding it, it would put a lot of pressure on the collar here, and it would be a little bit harder to get the top on. As you can see, that wasn't really a huge problem for me, but I know it was something that some other customers had feedback about. But the trick is if you actually would set it on the ground or on a log, whatever, it would take some of the pressure off, and if you hold it this way versus this way, that also helped, and then you could put the lid on, easy peasy, and no leaks. So this older version was absolutely fine for me, but I was glad to see that they were listening to customer feedback and made this collar a lot tighter. So it's hard to see, but it's hard to squeeze this and bend it. So even if you're holding it up in the air, it is not flexing, so it's easier to get the lid on. And this, I apologize, it's a little tight because it's brand new, but no problems if I'm holding it up in the air. I would still do the same thing and just set it down as I close it. And I would also probably still, see, I didn't have that on there quite right. I would also still hold it the long ways versus the short ways, but again, just once you get the lid on, it doesn't leak, and you can squeeze it really, really hard, and there's no leaks. And I'm not standing on it. I think they've got a video on their website that actually shows somebody standing on it, but this was great, and 9 times out of 10, I would just fill it up, put my filter on, and roll and just squeeze to get it to go through real quick, and it fills up my bottles in, you know, less than a minute. And it was a really great product. So this is something that I do highly recommend, and I'm not shy about saying if I don't recommend something, but honestly, most of my gear choices worked out really well. I'm going to do more gear videos for you so you can see what my top picks were, but definitely I would recommend this if you want something lightweight. And speaking of lightweight, I did weigh this, and even though the collar is thicker, heavier material, it's the same weight as the old one, so there's no penalty for getting the new version. So that's the Cnoc Vecto.